Search for Atlantis, and most maps lead to the bottom of the ocean. But a viral theory points elsewhere, the middle of the Sahara Desert. This is the Richat structure, a 25-mile-wide geological anomaly in Mauritania. From space, it appears as a series of concentric rings carved into the desert floor, a formation so precise it serves as a landmark for astronauts. In the 4th century BCE, the philosopher Plato described the capital of Atlantis as a city of alternating rings. He specified a central island surrounded by 3 rings of land and water. When you overlay that blueprint onto this site, the dimensions align with surprising accuracy. Proponents of the theory point to 3 large ridges with depressions in between, features that would look exactly like Plato's water-filled canals if this area were at sea level. This physical resemblance has turned a remote geological feature into a focal point for modern theorists, fueling an ambition to map a myth onto reality. The argument for this site extends into the surrounding landscape. The structure sits near the Atlas Mountains, named for the same mythological titan who was the first king of Mauritania. Some theorists cite the Greek historian Herodotus, who recorded a people known as the Atlantis living in this region of North Africa centuries after Plato. To account for the desert environment, the theory relies on a catastrophic timeline. It links the site to 9600 BCE, the date Plato provided for the city's destruction, and suggests a massive ancient tsunami once overwhelmed the coast. Satellite imagery reveals massive sand sweeps and heavy salt deposits trapped within the rings, interpreted as the physical residue of an oceanic disaster. Between the ringed layout and the apparent evidence of ancient flooding, the site offers a compelling case for anyone looking to bridge the gap between mythology and geography. However, the archaeologists and geologists who survey the Mauritanian desert find that the evidence for a lost city disappears under closer scrutiny. The tsunami theory contains a major contradiction. If the Richat structure was at sea level 11,000 years ago, the surrounding land would have been submerged, meaning a tsunami could not have swept sand across the terrain. These rings are not excavated canals, but natural layers of sedimentary rock tilting outward at sharp angles, and the center is not a palace foundation, but a megabrucha core, a 30-kilometer zone of shattered rock from a collapsed underground cavern. Even if the geometry were a perfect match, the timeline is not. This structure is roughly 100 million years old, a feature of deep time that formed long before the first humans appeared. Its true history began in the Cretaceous period. A magma plume pushed up from the mantle, forcing horizontal rock layers into a massive dome. As it cooled, hydrothermal fluids dissolved the rock, causing the peak to fracture and collapse inward. Over millions of years, relentless wind and water erosion stripped away the layers of this dome at different rates. The softer rocks washed away into the desert, while the hardest quartzite layers remained standing. This process of differential erosion carved the concentric ridges out of the bedrock. The Richat structure is a monument to the power of Earth's internal heat and surface erosion, a formation that required eons rather than human engineering to build. While it was never a seafaring capital, the Richat structure does hold a genuine record of human history. Archaeological surveys have found exceptional accumulations of Acheulean stone tools along the outer rings, marking a place where early humans gathered to manufacture hand axes from local quartzite. These hunter-gatherers lived in a green, humid Sahara tens of thousands of years ago, finding a hospitable environment where we see only heat and sand. Human civilizations last for mere centuries before they are buried or forgotten. This structure has endured for 100 million years. The search for Atlantis in the Sahara says more about our desire to find familiar patterns in the landscape than it does about the geology of the Earth. We have inherited a 100 million-year-old landmark and tried to rename it after a legend.